all legal and possible means that can save the tax. But once the amount of tax is fixed, do pay the tax, do create the accounted funds. Dear colleagues, financial independence demand financial assets and financial assets demand accounted funds. Unaccounted funds will never help you reach the stage of financial independence. This completes the list of do nots. Now do's next. Pay yourself first. Say you are earning 100 rupees a month, pay yourself first in the following proportions. Say 16 rupees for the retirement planning or financial independence, 14 rupees for the kids' education on marriage, 10 rupees for the down payment of the house and car assets, or we may need to buy the white goods like smart TVs, Apple phones, ACs, washing machines. And we need to enjoy the life also. So 10 rupees are for the life, for party, picnics, trips and tours, domestic and international. This totals up to 50 rupees. So out of your earnings of 500 rupees a month, first pay 50 rupees to yourself. And the rest 50 rupees are for the expenses, including the EMI. Dear colleagues, this basic financial discipline to restrict your expenses to the 50% of your income is extremely important. Without it, financial independence is really difficult. Emergency funds, pure term life insurance, health insurance and general insurance, including personal accident insurance is first and must. Now the do's in detail. Start as early as possible, even though if it is a small amount. And always aim to raise the investment amount year on year, maybe 5%, 10%, 15%, whatever is possible. Dear colleagues, it is not the corpus, but it is the consistency with which you continue your investment journey. And it is the consistency with which you increase your investment amount year on year, which is more important. So dear colleagues, focus on the consistency rather than the corpus. Grade are the asset classes: G for gold, R for real estate, E for equity and D for debt. Before I detail about the assets, let me emphasize two most important concepts in journey to the financial independence. They are goal-based investing and aligned assets allocation strategy. Whatever investment you do, whenever you do, it must have a clear goal, clear purpose attached to it. It may be retirement planning, financial independence, kids, assets, experiences, whatever it may be. And according to the goal, its assets allocation strategy should be fixed. And overall also, you should have a clearly defined assets allocation strategy. Maybe 50% equity, 50% debt, 70% equity, 30% debt. Let me add a clarification here. I address the asset classes as equity and debt. But nowadays, the debt assets are very much tax unfriendly. So I intend to replace the debt assets with the most stable and least volatile equity assets. So henceforth in my discussions, because this stable equity assets, they help us in efficient rebalancing and they are more tax friendly. So henceforth in my discussions, I will not address them as the equity and debt, but I address them as volatile equity assets and stable equity assets. First asset class, gold. Sovereign gold bond was the best option, its future is now uncertain. So next best is the gold ETF and gold funds. Restrict the gold asset allocation to 5 to 10% of the overall assets. It is more for the hedging or stability of the portfolio rather than as a wealth generation measure. Real estate as investment. I recommend to avoid the real estate as investment till you accumulate significant and sizable assets in volatile and stable equity assets. As in when you go for real estate as investment, please do remember the all drawbacks associated with the real estates. They are namely, it is always a huge or a big ticket expense. There is very poor liquidity. Then there is no visibility of the investments. If it is an open structure, then there are issues of the land encroachment or litigations. If it is a structure like a house or a flat, then there are issues of tenancy, occupancy, maintenance and municipal taxes. Dear colleagues, avoid being real estate assets rich and liquidity or cash poor, because financial independence demands significant and sizable financial liquidity. Residential house is definitely not an investment. At the most, it is a consumption pseudo asset. Whatever your approach may be to the real estate as investment, see to it that you restrict it to 10 to 20% of your overall portfolio. Now the most important asset, that is the volatile equity assets. It is must. Even in the retired years, it has to be 40% minimum. And even in your young age, where your risk-taking capacity is the maximum, then also it should be restricted to the 70%. In my opinion, 60% exposure to the volatile equity assets and 40% exposure to the stable equity assets is an optimum differentiation. There are more than 44 mutual fund houses, there are more than 39 mutual fund categories, and there are more than 1500 mutual fund schemes. But don't get confused. You need to focus only on 3 categories for your entire lifetime and for your entire lifetime's earnings to be invested. These 3 categories are index funds, aggressive hybrid funds, and flexi cap funds. As simple as that. More